Here we go, nearly 100 new features for Apple Watch in watchOS 10. Welcome everybody to AppleInsider. It is Andrew here, and Apple has released watchOS 10 alongside iOS 17, iPadOS 17, tvOS 17, updates for HomePods, all of that stuff. But in this video, I'm going to walk you through nearly 100 new features and changes for Apple Watch as part of watchOS 10. So I hope you have your seatbelts on because buckle up, this is going to be a long one. If it helps at all, use the chapter markers down below to move between chapters. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Here's my Apple Watch running watchOS 10. The first thing to know is Apple has some new improved navigation to get around the Apple Watch. So to start, just pressing your digital crown will still take you to your app view. But your app view looks a little bit different now. It's actually just one really long list of all your applications, but they're still in icon form. Now you can go into settings and switch this just to a standard list view, but you can no longer really move left and right in a big amorphous circle. It's just now kind of going up and down. And yes, you can still edit the position of any of these. Just tap and hold like you could before. It'll enter that jiggle mode, and you can reposition them to how you like, and press the digital crown to lock it in. At any point you can scroll back towards the top, whether you're using the digital crown or your finger, swipe, and it'll go back to what's called the new Smart Stack, as well as your watch face. Of course, just pressing your digital crown, again, will also go to the watch face. If you double press the digital crown though, it'll now move into your recent apps. So this is like the full app switcher, so I can see my weather and all these other apps that I had open, all of this information. So yeah, just a double click of the digital crown goes right into your app switcher. Press it again, just go back to your watch face. The side button here, a single press of that, will now open your control center. So before you would swipe up from your home screen or your watch face, now you press this side button. So just a press of the lower side button to access control center. If we double press that, that still will open up Apple Pay, just as it did before. That was a terrible example, but it's hard on screen. Double press, there we go, into Apple Pay, have my Apple Card like I normally would. As I had teased for a moment, at the bottom of the screen is now called the Smart Stack. So you can swipe up with your finger to access this new Smart Stack view, or you can scroll up with a digital crown from any watch face. This kind of gives you the high-level view, clock in the corner, date, and then our list of Smart Stack widgets here at the bottom. Looking at our widgets, we have our fitness one, some news, some weather information, that's a PD, it's a ChatGPT client. We got music playing, and then this little preset one I have at the bottom with 3 quick launch ones. And then way at the bottom is all apps, and again, you can scroll past this, just go back to your app view, and scroll back up the other way, boom, we're right here into Smart Stack. Your Smart Stack can be edited, so I tap and hold just like you would expect. You can get into this edit view. Any one you want, you can go ahead and pin, because your Smart Stack will actually change throughout the day. Based on what you're doing, where you are, it can change the order of those based on relevant information and just learning how you use Smart Stack. So if there's any that you want pinned at the top, you can go ahead and pin them or tap again to unpin. You can change their position just by dragging. Now I do have too many here, so let's go ahead and remove this, tap on move, and I can hit plus, and I can add any new one to that slot. I believe you can have up to 8 Smart Stack widgets included here at any given time. As you can see here, these aren't just Apple widgets, there are third-party ones here too, like streaks. I've got pull port going on the Traeger, I can see that widget in here. All this I can add, it's really cool. So here's a Traeger one, let's put that in, nice, just like that. I've added a new widget right there into my Smart Stack, and it can, as I'm like using the Traeger, that could be positioned towards the top, but just scroll through, you can see any of them. It's really useful. Of course, the big other new addition here is some watch faces. Here's the new Snoopy watch face, where they say they have over 100 different animations. I can like put my watch to sleep, of course Snoopy sleeping too, wake it up, boom, there we go, a new one sliding off the time. So it's going to be time relevant. If those hands were up, that animation wouldn't play. If you go underwater, Snoopy will go underwater. There are just so many cool animations here, and I still feel like I'm seeing new ones the more that I use this watch face. So really cool how they were able to incorporate things like the day, weather, even the rain will show up here on this watch face, which is just oh so cool. So let's get one more animation. There we go. We're going to do a magic trick. Just typical Snoopy style. I absolutely love it. Let's go ahead and look at editing this watch face though. So when you go in, you can't edit and change the style of the background. So do you want no markers at all? Some, do you want more? You have 4 different options between none and all the way to numbers. Going over, there's a bunch of different colors that you can choose from that match your style. Then we have, that's it. No complications on this watch face, unfortunately, so it is a little bit of a downside. The next watch face is called Palette. This is what I had on at the beginning of the video, and I just love how these colors are working together. And as the second hand moves around the watch face, you can see it's revealing the orange colors behind it, and as they overlap, just a really neat animation. If we go in here to edit this one, you can see some of our different options. Bunches of different colors that you can choose from that match your style. Here we have the 4 different complications in the corner. They are those round varieties, and that's it. So those are your 2 options here for Palette. This is another one of the new watch face coming with watchOS 10. This watch face is called Solar Analog and has become one of my new favorites. I think it just looks gorgeous. Apple says it features classic hour marks on a luminous dial with light and shadows that shift throughout the day in response to the position of the sun. So I can't even really show you that much here in this video because the sun's not changing, but it is a beautiful watch face. If we go here and edit it, you can see we have options for the style. We have just different tick marks that you can choose to put around, and then you have different light options that you can have. So do you want bright? Do you want dark? The dark also looks very cool. And then you have several different color options. I do like that abyss blue. And then you have 2 different complications. So the calendar here at the top and then the one down below. Let's go ahead and go back just with this new dark one. Yeah, it looks really cool. Apple talked about Modular Ultra as coming to the new Apple Watch Ultra Series 2, or the Apple Watch Ultra 2, but it also comes to the existing Apple Watch Ultra. So this takes advantage of all the way around the edge of the display with different things. So right now it's showing elevation around the edge of the display, but you could be showing your depth and other information. So otherwise it's a similar to the standard watch face that they have, but let's go ahead and edit it. It's just full of so much information. So we can change our time here at the top. We can go over to the night mode options, so whether you want it auto, off, or on, you have those options just like with the regular one. And for the bezel, do you want elevation, depth, or you can even do the seconds or none at all. We can go ahead and move it over to the seconds. And then we have a bunch of different complications and colors. You have the one in the middle of the screen, 3 on the top, 3 in the bottom, just chock full of information here. So that is the new Modular Ultra face coming to the existing Apple Watch Ultra. Finally, Apple has the Nike Globe watch face. You can go ahead and add this face in here, look at it. So a few different color options, a lot of the Nike colors here towards the top. We can go over, we have 4 different complications, all 4 corners, and like the other Nike watch faces, tapping on that Nike logo should take you directly into the Nike Run Club app if you have it installed on your Apple Watch. Here we are inside of the Messages app, which got quite a redesign here in watchOS 10. So to start, it takes advantage of the screen much better than it did before, which is something we're going to see in a lot of apps. You can go back to get into the all known or unknown senders, which was a filter you could have before. It's just been redesigned just a little bit for the new version of the Apple Watch. So now we have these larger cards going down, and you can even see the profile pictures or avatars or emoji that people have added for their contact information. If you scroll up, actually, you'll be able to get to your favorites. So you can pin these just like you would on your iPhone, and there's the new message button there at the top if you had to add a new message. But scroll down, and here's all your recent messages mirrored from your iPhone, whether text, MMS, or iMessage. What's cool here with the new version of watchOS 10 is you can now do editing, undo sending, and even sorting by unread, which are all new for the Apple Watch. There's also new features for communication safety. So now if you are sent an illicit image, those can automatically be blurred. So you have to choose to see them. You aren't forced upon seeing a message that somebody sent you that you did not want to see. And for minors, it'll actually be able to detect if they are getting any videos or photos that are sensitive, especially receiving or sending sensitive videos. It can alert the parents. So a really nice security feature or parenting feature added to watchOS 10 for messages. Here we are in the Workout app. So I won't be able to show all of this on detail in this video, but Apple did work a lot with some cycling improvements. So now Apple is allowing Bluetooth-enabled sensors like power meters, speed sensors, and cadence sensors with new power and cadence metrics for cycling. Cycling is one of the things I do most with my Apple Watch, which is oddly not at the top of my list at the moment, but I really like that they added these new sensors and new metric types on the actual workout screen. Apple's also improved the power zone view, which uses functional threshold power and measures the highest power you can maintain for a 60-minute session to create personalized zones and show time in each zone. Cycling speed will show your current and max speed, distance, heart rate, and power. And cycling metrics, workout views, and cycling experiences from Apple Watch appear as a live activity over on your iPhone, which is absolutely one of my favorite features. Even if you're just inside, you're cycling, watching a class, whatever, it'll show on your iPhone screen. So you can keep your watch where it is, but see what's going on your phone. Or if you're actually out in the world and biking, you can see all that information on your iPhone. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Activity app. Again, this is another one that got a pretty substantial redesign from the previous generation or the Series 9 version. So we now have just kind of a single page view, no longer swiping left and right like you did before to move between different views. In each of the corners, we can see something like weekly summary. We have sharing down here. We have our awards in the corner. It's really easy to get to all of those. No more swiping necessary. The new weekly view is actually entirely new on Apple Watch. You used to kind of get that summary. Now this weekly summary can just be shown here directly on or in the Activity app. So you can get back to this at any point, see how you've been doing for the week, just give you a good overall view without having to wait for that notification to come in. Quickly looking at your sharing ones, these will now show profile pictures, avatars, emoji, all that information for your contacts that you're sharing with. Other small tweaks including how these are actually laid out and how the buttons work. And then the awards one, this was a big redesign. So we have our go for it here, which are ones that you have not accomplished yet and you may be working towards. So you can see this one, I'm really close to completing 2,250 move goals. I am so close, only 40 more to go on this one. So you can see it's right there at the top of the list, and everything else I haven't started is down below. I have not done any, yoga workouts yet. All those I can work towards to get those badges. And if we go backwards, I can see all these different categories, monthly challenges, close your rings, limited edition challenges are all in here. I love this National Parks one. Just looks really cool. You can still look and play with the little digital awards that are on there. It's really neat. So just some new changes coming to the actual award section of the Activity app. Now, as I said, instead of swiping left and right to get to your different rings, we can scroll down, and now these have full views all on their own. So a lot more information is presented. Scrolling down again, it's really easy to modify these. So before you had to go all the way to the bottom, then you could change them. Now we have this just plus and minus button, so you can make changes on the individual screen. So whether you're looking at your stand goal, your exercise goal, or your move goal. At the bottom, still give you your information for the day, so how many steps you took, your distance you walked, and how many flights of stairs you climbed. And any activities that you've recorded the day will sit there at the bottom. Let's go back to our app view and jump into the Compass app. So Apple says there's been quite a few changes with Compass, so including the last cellular connection waypoint will automatically be added here and will be added to your route so you can see where your device was connected and when you'll be able to connect to your carrier again, which is super handy. Your last emergency call waypoint automatically estimates the last location available for you to connect to any carrier's network and to connect to emergency services. The POI waypoints, these display points of interest that you have saved within guides on maps. So as you're walking around, you're using the Compass app, you'll actually be able to find POI that you've added to the Maps app. The waypoint elevation is a new view, so this is like our standard view here, and if I tap that at the bottom, we can switch between these two different views, kind of this 3D one or this vertical one. But yeah, this is a waypoint elevation that's a new view that uses data from the altimeter to create a 3D representation of the elevation at any of your saved waypoints. And elevation alerts will notify you if you've passed a particular elevation threshold. What about the Maps app? So one of the first things is the new Maps application is much more detailed than it was before. And you can see cool things like this circle that gives you a more approximate location to your exact distance. You can see your arc is still giving you a heading of where you're facing, but now it'll give this ring around to help kind of like phone in or kind of get really close to where your area is and give you that radius of where you are. I didn't see this happening on the previous version of the Apple Watch. It also now goes entirely edge to edge. So it's a new full screen application that looks really pretty. If I go into search, I have a much more rich search view here. So I can see I have searches, I can pull up filters for things like fast food restaurants. A lot of this has new iconography. We can scroll down here, we can see that we have recents that we've been looking for. We can have favorites here at the top. Below that, we'll have finding nearby, guides that I've created, all of this information. Now, another neat one, so let's go ahead and look at this Pheasant Run Trail. Apple's added a lot more rich information to things like restaurants and points of interest. So we can see hours that they're open, make the phone call, we can see how far they are away, all this kind of stuff. Apple's also added images. If you're looking at a restaurant, you can see Yelp review images directly here in your Apple Watch when checking them out. But for trails, we have distance. So that's a really new thing for Apple Watch, is being able to see trails, that they're a trailhead, where they're at, and how long that trail is. Offline maps that you've added via your iPhone, they can be viewed on a paired Apple Watch when your iPhone is within range, and includes using it for navigation. Routes for driving, cycling, walking, and taking public transit are all supported for offline maps, which is huge. Topographic maps display features in national and regional parks in the US like trails, contour lines, elevation, and points of interest. It's just a lot more detail coming to maps here with watchOS 10. I love a good weather app, and Apple's looks great here in watchOS 10. So new redesigned summary view. So this is just called conditions. If I tap on that, it's conditions, and it's giving me everything. So my location, what the weather or temperature is like, high and low for the day. I can see my air quality. I can see wind, chance of precipitation or humidity. All this information is presented in this one view, which is wonderful. If I scroll down, I can also get additional information, so you can see my hourly forecast and my 10-day forecast. All that is still represented here. If I don't want that individual view or the summary view, I can switch to things like temperature. Here we are again, going towards the top, just a better visual view of it. And this can show stuff in the background based on your weather. So if it is raining outside, it'll be raining here. If it's cloudy, it'll be cloudy on here. It'll just pull information from the day and show it in this reactive background to the weather app. The Mindfulness app. Apple has added state of mind and other mental health information to the health app on the iPhone, and it's adding some of it to the well-being app or mindfulness app here on your Apple Watch. So you can see we have a new state of mind logging mechanism here, so I can log how I'm feeling for right now or for today. So right now, how am I feeling? You can scroll through this. So like slightly unpleasant, feeling stressed out, got some videos to do. So what's going on? I can scroll through, I can choose these, I'm amused, satisfied, relieved, grateful. There's more here at the bottom. Anxious, for sure anxious, got a lot to work on. Why? What is that causing? What is this doing? I can choose all that information, select it, move on, and I've logged it for the day, which will log over in the health app over on your iPhone. It also has just a redesigned app. These buttons are much bigger. They have colored backgrounds they didn't before. Just an overall much better looking app than it had in the past. And it can even send you reminders to log your state of mind if you like to do them on a regular basis. Medications. Medication hasn't changed too much. Basically, the biggest thing here is there's new follow-up reminders that will notify you on your Apple Watch to log medication if you have not logged it for the day, and it'll do it within like 30 minutes of your scheduled time. So if I'm supposed to take, my omeprazole here at 8:30, if I haven't logged it, by 9 o'clock, it's going to send me a follow-up saying, hey, have you done that yet? And allow me to log it directly from that notification that appears on my Apple Watch. They can even be set up as critical alerts, so even if my device is muted or the focus mode is enabled, I can still get alerted that I need to take my medicine. If you have a new Apple Watch, you can use your Apple Watch to find your iPhone even better than before. So previously we have this ring button, which is still the case for the existing models, but the Series 9 and Ultra 2 will now allow you to use precision finding thanks to the U2 chip. That new U2 chip can also do some fun things. I believe this still works on existing Apple Watches, but the new Smart Stacks, if you go near an ultra-wideband enabled HomePod, it can actually pull up those controls here of any music that you're listening to and put those media controls right there, easily get to just by scrolling up, control the content that you're playing. This is really neat, but Apple actually has an ambient light sensor built into the Apple Watch, and it's usually used to adjust the brightness of the screen. But that can also detect your time in the daylight, and that is logged over on the iPhone inside of the Health app. So you can actually see how much you spend in the sun for that day. It's super cool. It works on Apple Watch SE, Series 6 and later, and the Apple Watch Ultra. Inside of the Home app, Apple has this new mechanic for energy. So you can see with this new energy icon here, this is called grid forecast. It's going to tell me when is best during the day of when I should be using more electricity. So if I have an EV or if I have a lot of clothes to wash, if this tells me it's better, after a certain time period, that's when I can do it, and it'll rely more on renewable energy versus natural resources like coal or gas. So really neat new HomeKit feature inside of the Home app. Apple's digital assistant, you can now invoke without having to say the word hey first. You can just say the assistant's name. Of course, you can still do it just by raising your wrist, but if you have that turned off or you prefer to use your voice, you can just say, Apple's digital assistant's name, and she'll come right up. Of Apple Digital Assistant, I believe this is coming later this year, but Apple's added the ability to ask Siri on your Apple Watch about your health data. So you can ask it how many steps you've taken today, how your rings are looking for today, if you've logged any medication, or just really any health data you can ask Siri about, and she can respond to you on the Apple Watch, which is great because there is no health app here on the Apple Watch. If you've ever needed an emergency SOS, notifications will now be sent to emergency contacts as a critical alert, which means even if their phones are silenced or in focus mode and not receiving calls or notifications, they'll still be alerted that you were in a critical accident. So really helpful update there to critical alerts. Inside of the phone app, Apple has removed the option for the keypad down here at the bottom and has now just added keypad here at the top. I can just jump in and type a phone number. We also have the ability now to do group FaceTime audio calls directly on Apple Watch. Inside of Mail, there's no longer a big new button at the top, and instead we have a tiny little new one there at the lower right hand corner. I can tap that, create a new email, change my email that I'm sending it from, but just as replace that button that was there on watchOS 9. Inside of timers, Apple has redesigned the actual timers themselves. Now they have this yellow ring around and no longer a gray background. They had a bunch more ticks and it looked a little bit different. I like the look of this new version. So we can have the recents here at the top. The big old plus button was gone, or the new button, custom button. Now we just have a plus button here for all timers. This interface remains unchanged. The recent timers at the top, these also used to be like horizontal pills that took up like the whole watch face. Now they're circles just like all the ones down below. The Stopwatch app has a new full screen white background, which I think looks great. Just goes edge to edge. Now instead of having two different options for digital and analog, you now have the two different digital like you had before, and then you just keep scrolling to get to analog. So we have, to analog and digital. So basically they've just combined these into one view, so no longer swiping in that additional menu that we saw in the past. Here we are in Calendar. The first thing is Apple added this new kind of card interface. It looks really cool as you scroll through, just like swiping, boom, boom, boom. Really neat kind of interface for that. You can tap this in the lower left-hand corner where you have Up Next, List. We also now have Day, Week, Month added to this menu. Before, those were kind of like a separate menu. You'd go back to view them, but here you can just do this, switch it to like the day view, switch it to week view, month view. These have all had small tweaks to them, but nothing really major, just an overall small refresh here to the Calendar app. Here we are in the World Clock app. Apple, again, full screen interface, much more colorful. I'm thinking they're better with battery efficiency now with these new versions, so they're able to, push pixels a little bit more. They're not all black interfaces, which just makes it look a lot nicer. So you can see this interface. We're here for New York, but as you can scroll through, it changes based on the time of day. So here you can see, sunrise versus sunset. So right now we're getting into the sunset time period. The sun's down or the moon is up. We're going to keep going through, and you can just see how the background will change based on the time of day. So just really neat effects here, and I love how you can scroll through this to change that interface. Before, you can also still see the sunrise and sunset times there in that lower right-hand corner. Also, Apple has removed the big Add button, instead just a small plus button. For photos, Apple has this new memories thing here at the top, so you can see we can jump into this memory. I can see my wife getting certified for scuba diving, which was a great memory. You see all those photos, blow them up. If you want to, they're live photos, you can still view them. And when we're using the share sheet, there's new suggestions here at the top, so I can suggest to send to Faith or Kenzie, but you can scroll down and get to your standard message or mail options that we had in the past. I know what you guys have been asking and waiting for, and that's what's new in the Stocks application. Of course, we're going to get to that. So here in Stocks, we have this new full screen view. The graphs are animated as they come in screen, which I think is just a really cool look. So as we just scroll through these, let's go back towards the top so we get any that are green. Everything is going down today, apparently. First Energy, yeah, everything's going down. But if they go down, the background is green. If they go up, the background is green. If they go down, the background is red. The graphs all animate in, and there's new option to view the different charts. So if I go back here you can see all the different stocks, and tapping on the ellipsis will change your view. Just changing the interface a little bit, make it a little bit easier to change that up and how they're sorted. Jumping into the music app, the first thing it shows me is the Listen Now page. So that's just slightly tweaked to where you kind of land when you jump into it. But these cards are all much bigger than they were in the past, much more colorful. The album art is bigger. They overall just look better than what they did with watchOS 9. Also, we just have those new Now Playing controls that can even show here inside of the Smart Stack. I've started playing some music over on my iPhone, and now when I scroll up from the bottom, I started playing some music over on my iPhone, and now when I scroll from the bottom or add into the smart stack, you can see we have bare naked ladies, enough time is playing, I can pull up these controls and actually go into the music app and control them from there. But yeah, basically just add what you're playing there into smart stack. I think it looks really great. Podcast is similar to music. Apple has made these cards bigger, more colorful, colored backgrounds, more album information, just a lot of stuff. Plus you can tap on the ellipsis there, which will take you either to the show or mark it as played. This is really small, but the library button here in Podcast also has a new icon to go with it. Here in the App Store, Apple has made some few tweaks. When you jump into these, it kind of pops up over the screen, which is a nice new UI experience. Before it would just swipe over, kind of like an old card. It just felt kind of dated and weird. Now it just pops over the whole screen, gives more of the depth effect, and you can see it's a little bit slow, and I'm hoping it's going to be quicker with the new versions of the Apple Watch and something I'm going to be checking out for, but it could just be, network things and making those slow. But also Apple has gotten rid of the big search bar at the top and put in this new tiny search icon. Also, if you have AirPods Pro and the new adaptive audio features, you can change that here in your AirPods settings. It's not viewable much on Apple Watch, but it does use Apple Watch. Apple Fitness Plus has several new changes this time around, so if you're using it on your iPad, your iPhone, your Apple TV, there's some new benefits here for Apple Watch users. To start, there's new fitness alerts from professional fitness trainers that can help you find the ones that work best for you. You can also create series of workouts and string them together and just move between them, all using your Apple Watch to track your progress. It's super handy, and I really like these updates that Apple did add to Apple Fitness Plus as part of watchOS 10, as well as, tvOS 17 and the other updates. So that pretty much covers it. That is it. That's over 100 or nearly 100 new features for your Apple Watch as part of watchOS 10. Let me know what you guys think. What are your favorite new features? Let me know down below in the comments. Otherwise, stay tuned. I have a lot more videos coming your way.